Today is my 40th birthday, and I want to talk to you if you're a perfectionist, if you're an overthinker, and knowingly or unknowingly attach your worth and peace to your doing, to your achievements and others' approval. If you're saying that's me, then this video is for you. Instead of giving you a long list of tips, I'm going to share the most essential lesson I've learned over the last 20 years, that your perfectionism is actually a hidden form of survival mode. I'm going to talk about how that survival mode keeps you in avoidance, preventing you from genuine connection and a life that's true to you. By the end, you'll understand why you need to put down this weight and start living with the belief that you're going to be okay no matter what. For a long time, I moved through the world in constant motion. I learned early on that I needed to be impressive, busy, and stack up accomplishments in order to survive. So if I could go back to my younger self, my younger 20-year-old perfectionist self, and give her some advice, it would be that your perfectionism is not about meeting high standards. It's survival mode, and you are living in that 24/7. And the thing is, you probably don't even realize it, because survival mode doesn't announce itself. Instead, it masks itself. It masks itself as high productivity, as being capable, or simply just having a racing mind that's always on. And you tell yourself that it's just ambition, or that you just have a strong work ethic. But beneath that mask, you don't quite know how to feel safe unless you're doing. It's a deep-seated conditioning, often born from a time where you had to be the responsible one or the fixer, or perhaps you were under a prolonged period of stress, whether it was at work or at home. And it taught you to equate being still with being at risk. But my dear friend, when you live this way, you aren't actually chasing goals aligned to your values and strengths. Because in survival mode, you aren't looking for alignment. You're looking for safety and familiarity. You're also running away from something. The fear of not being seen as good enough. This makes you live life almost like it's a constant audition, trying to prove you deserve to exist boldly and as you are. But if you don't uncouple your worth from your output, if you don't learn that stillness is also progress, you will enter another decade exhausted, not just physically, but emotionally, carrying a weight that was never yours to hold and climbing mountains you were never meant to climb. This is the crux of my lesson to you as I turn 40 today. If you're a perfectionist, an overachiever, burned out, you're in survival mode. And this survival mode is designed around one thing, and that's avoiding pain. Avoiding the pain of losing connection if you're judged as not hitting the mark. This may not be a conscious motivation, because it exists way down deep past all the layers you've constructed to feel safe. You think you're overworking to stay successful, to stay ahead, but you're really trying to avoid being rejected or left behind if you fail or fall short. Because what would it mean if you weren't achieving? And who are you when you're not achieving? As you get older, this survival mode doesn't just exhaust you, it distorts your relationships. When you're in survival mode, you aren't choosing people based on alignment or shared values. In survival mode, you can't choose with a clear mind. You're choosing based on what feels familiar, which is often not what you need. You often cling to dynamics that reinforce the need to be perfect. Sometimes accepting treatment that isn't good for you because you're afraid that if you set a boundary or show your imperfections, you'll be rejected. So you also settle for being needed for what you do, rather than being valued and known for who you are. And this creates a cycle where you stay surrounded by people who reinforce the very beliefs that keep you trapped in perfectionism. But the cruel irony is you don't even realize it, because survival mode also blinds you and desensitizes you to it. So the lesson you must integrate, as shared by a 40-year-old evolved perfectionist, is that if perfectionism is survival mode in disguise, and survival mode itself keeps you hiding by making you live on autopilot in constant motion and choosing the familiar, then every area of your life will be affected. You'll operate daily as your survival self, not as your chosen self. Survival mode makes stillness feel dangerous. When you've been praised for what you do for so long, you forget how to exist without any results to show for it. But you don't have to abandon yourself through perfectionism, overachievement, and burnout to feel safe. You can sit with yourself and slowly begin to shine a light on the things that perfectionism and survival mode have hidden. And while it may be uncomfortable to confront the thoughts and the fears you've been using survival mode and perfectionism to run from, when you look at them face to face, you will realize they are weak next to the strength you have acquired. Allow yourself to look them in the eye in the safety of stillness. One of the most sobering lessons making peace with stillness has taught me, and one that was brought home with brutal clarity 2.5 years ago, is the sheer fragility of our time. 2.5 years ago, I watched my dad, a man who was always so full of life, suffer a massive stroke. And in an instant, his world shrunk to the confines of his hospital bed. He became someone who couldn't talk, couldn't walk, and his only form of communication was to squeeze our hand with his left one because the brain damage he had suffered was so severe. And watching him embedded the lesson of the power of stillness even more deeply into me. It made me realize that perfectionism and the survival mode it comes with often just take you off course. They have you always busy, always preoccupied, and focusing on things that don't actually matter, convincing you that these details are life or death. But globally, if the average life expectancy in the Western world is between 75 and 80, at 40, I'm exactly at the halfway point. I have roughly 2,000 weeks left on this earth. When you realize how few moments you have left, you become very protective of how you spend your day, because once that day is traded for a performance or a state of panic, it's gone forever. This is where stillness becomes a superpower for helping you live the life you intend, because it helps you act from clarity instead of pressure. Moments of stillness allow you to choose with such intention and consideration that regret loses its power. Even if the outcome isn't what you expected, you have the peace of knowing you acted in total alignment with your values, beliefs, and convictions at the time. And it's moments of stillness that can give you the space to do that. Right now, I invite you to pause this video or save it to come back to later and just write down 3 times in your life where things went wrong, but you landed on your feet and were ultimately okay. When I've done this with clients and in my own life, we never cease to be shocked at how many things have turned out okay in the end, at how it got figured out. You have proven that you are someone who can climb the mountains of life, so you can afford to breathe deeply now. You can experience achievement from calm, clarity, and alignment, not from panic and survival. Because fitting your entire worth and peace into productivity is a very fragile system. If your value is tied to your achievements and an ideal version of yourself that you've not yet become, then every single pause will feel like a threat to who you are. I've learned that dropping the things that you're desperately trying to keep perfect does not destroy your world. It just leaves your hands free to carry what's essential. You are allowed to exist, be happy, and have peace on days when nothing is checked off your list. I want to add that comparison fuels so much of this. Comparison against who you think you should be, against others, and who society tells you to aspire to be. But let me tell you something. The irony is everyone is terrified and no one knows what they're doing. And worse, they don't even know who they are. They've just become incredibly skilled at hiding it. There is no point comparing your internal progress to someone else's polished exterior. Letting go of the comparison of survival mode and attaching your worth to how well you achieve and perform changes everything. But unless you stop hiding in the safety of what you're already good at, you'll never create opportunities to actually use these muscles. So the final thing I'll leave you with is this. We might look like we're doing a lot by being in constant motion, but in actuality, we are avoiding the hard things and often picking the things that feel familiar and easy. Yet the growth you personally need is on the other side of what's hard, but you avoid it because you're not currently perfect at it. And so it exposes your imperfection, making you vulnerable. What if you fail? What will that say about you? What fears will failure reaffirm? When you're in survival mode, you feel like you cannot afford to be vulnerable. In fact, protection from vulnerability is exactly what survival mode is designed for. But finding something difficult, not having reached the end point of perfect mastery, doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean it isn't meant to be. Because the true value and purpose of doing the hard thing, the thing that isn't already familiar to you, is found in that very stage of discomfort. How can you bloom into a flower without the uncomfortable phase of growth where things are new, not perfected, and not mastered? How does a baby learn to walk if it doesn't fall? I want to challenge you to identify something you're not good at yet, that you're not familiar with, and that you've perhaps been avoiding because of this, and just start doing it. It doesn't have to be a project or a hobby. It can be a practice, a habit, a type of conversation, and just document your growth phases with it. The parts where you're unsure, where it's unfinished and in progress, where it was all unclear and where you didn't have all the answers. Capture the mess while it's happening and talk about how uncomfortable it feels to be a beginner again. Don't run back to the safety of what you're already good at. Let yourself sit in the stretch. But I can't stress enough the importance of keeping the people around you that let you do this, that let you be in those unsure, imperfect stages. As a perfectionist, you think people need to fall in love with the perfect you, which means you eventually look around and realize there's no one you feel safe enough to trip up in front of, to fail in front of. So you must intentionally cultivate relationships with people that value you just as much when you're uncomfortable doing the less familiar things as when you're excelling at the thing you're already good at. And let them see when you're making mistakes and getting it wrong. I'll end with this. Life is actually quite simple. Behind everything we do, we are all either trying to avoid a feeling and emotion or we're chasing one. We just all use different tools and methods to do it. One of yours is perfectionism, overachievement, or burnout. So because your tools and methods keep you always performing and improving, you can never truly be known. People will only love the mask. Real freedom is uncoupling your peace from your productivity and experiencing internal ease in the stillness of life too. It's the courage to stop managing how people feel about you and start trusting that your self-worth is not up for negotiation, even in the absence of achievement. The most essential truth I carried into my 30s was this: progress will be found in your stillness just as much as it is in your motion. And in my 40s, I hold on to this: everything will be okay. You will be okay. Getting out of survival mode is a daily choice. It means intentionally exposing yourself to rejection, testing and enjoying imperfection, and mastering moments of stillness. Excellence does not require your exhaustion. You can lead with power and still live with ease. You can be ambitious and still pause. It's not about doing less. It's about being more of who you are, separate from fear. Be as intentional as possible about creating joy daily, because survival mode is a state of constant seriousness. So incorporate play and create joy daily, because a life well lived needs the room to try things out, to take risks, and enjoy things just for the pleasure of it. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's one thing you probably do out of survival mode that you can let go of this year? Start choosing to be known for who you really are and to know yourself, living from alignment and clarity, not survival and panic. I'll see you in the next one.